In this video, we are going to learn how to set regulator pressure on a relieving type pressure regulator. When we're done with this video, you'll be able to identify the parts and components of the regulator, as well as the proper technique in setting the regulator pressure. The diaphragm assembly includes a flexible disc that separates atmospheric pressure from the regulated air pressure. The movement of the diaphragm controls the movement of the poppet valve. The large spring supports the diaphragm against the pressure of the regulated air. It applies a force that balances the force applied by the air passing through the poppet valve. Turning the pressure regulator knob changes the amount of compression in the large spring, which adjusts the amount of force applied to the diaphragm assembly. This force changes the position of the poppet valve, which changes the regulated air pressure. The bonnet contains the working components of the atmospheric pressure side of the diaphragm, including the large spring. The poppet valve moves with the diaphragm assembly to open and close the passage from the high pressure inlet to the regulated air chamber. This valve controls the volume of air flowing from the inlet to the outlet of the regulator. This image shows how a pneumatic filter operates. The inlet port is where the air first passes into the regulator and filter. The deflector plate creates a cyclonic action that forces large particles and water molecules against the bowl, where the particles settle to the bottom of the bowl to be drained as needed. The air continues on its path through the filter, where small particles are removed before the air continues down the stream to the actuators. Now that we know the components of the air regulator, let's place one into service. To do this, we're going to start by removing our lockout tagout. To do that, I'm going to insert my key and remove my lock. With my locking device removed, I'm going to unlock the air supply and supply air to our regulator. This has a little tab. I'm going to place this in the down position, which is going to energize our regulator. With the air supplied to our regulator, we can now set our regulator to our desired pressure. The pressure on this regulator is presently reading 80 psi, or 80 pounds per square inch. This regulator is known as a self-relieving regulator, so we aren't required to relieve pressure on downstream to reduce the pressure. We want to set this regulator to 60 psi, and to do this, we're going to vent excess downstream air by lifting the adjustment knob and unlocking it, and then twisting this to bleed off air. Now, something to make note of, our gauge is reading right at 60 psi right now. However, this regulator is not set. To properly set a regulator, you must go lower than your desired pressure, let it bleed off, and then bring it up to the desired pressure. Once we have set the desired pressure on our regulator, the last step is to lock off our adjustment knob to prevent any accidental adjustments. The reason that we want to go past and then bring the regulator pressure back up to it, this helps prevent any pressure sags that can be created downstream from the internal components of the regulator being reseated.